Hey, it's Lisa Wimberger here. I'm the founder of Neurosculpting, and I have helped thousands of people learn really powerful tools to regulate their minds and their bodies, including pro athletes, entrepreneurs, and those with serious stress-based illnesses. So I'm really excited to help you do the very same thing through education and some incredible guest experts. And together, we're going to discover the formula to unlock hope. So welcome. I'm excited to introduce you to Steven Izen, who I met recently and really was impressed and inspired by. Steven is the CEO and founder of Live Lokai. These are amazing bracelets that I wear all the time. We'll get into that. He is also on the board at Make-A-Wish Foundation. He is listed in Forbes 30 under 30 for retail and e-commerce, and also Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Awards finalist. So welcome, Steven. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Hey, Lisa.
So good to see
Having
you.
me on the show.
Yeah, there's so much I want to get into, but what I wanted to start with was, the story of how I met you and why I really wanted to talk to you here on Unlock Hope. I meet a lot of amazing business people. I meet a lot of amazing people doing great things in the world. But when you were speaking at a recent event that I attended, that I was also speaking at, you were speaking from the heart. You were speaking about your story of hope and despair and how you pulled yourself out of it. You were speaking about doing business from the heart, which is a bigger and bigger invitation, I think, these days. And everything you said just felt so resonant with neurosculpting and what I do. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do more. I have to know more. I have to talk with you more. So that was kind of what struck me. But I would love it if you would just share a little bit about the bracelets, what inspired you, your grandfather and Alzheimer's, and the whole despair you felt when he got diagnosed. So I would love for you to jump in with that story.
Yeah, of course. So to give the listeners a little image in their head of what a Lokai bracelet is, it's a silicone bracelet that looks beaded. On one side, there's a white ball, and on the other side, there's a black ball. Injected in the white ball is water from Mount Everest, and injected in the black ball is mud from the Dead Sea, which are the highest and lowest points on Earth. And yeah, going back now, I came up with the idea for Lokai when I was 19. It was after my freshman year in college. I was on vacation with my family and friends, thinking about how lucky I was to be there. But that week, unfortunately, my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And
Were you close to him?
yeah, I was very close to him. He drove me to school every day as a kid.
Oh,
He taught me to play golf and pool. And yeah, it was the first time that I had ever dealt with something like that in my life. And it brought me to a low. And it really just got me thinking about the highs and lows that I was going through and how everybody goes through highs and lows. It doesn't matter your age.
can I ask you to back up for a minute? What did you feel? I mean, when we get hit with this diagnosis, and this loved one who, right, mentored you, coached you, taught you, this person close to you, what did you actually feel? I know despair is sort of a blanket term, but how did that hit you? What went through your mind, the first couple thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that I thought about was how could something, how could my life be so great and things be working so well on one side, and then something like this happen at the same time and have all of these feelings all at once.
Mm.
Right. So that's kind of the balance side. And I remember it just like really hit me because there's no cure for Alzheimer's.
Oh.
And it's also a very long process between when they're diagnosed and then seeing that journey. And so, yeah, it was really tough for me. I was young too, so I don't think I fully understood what it meant. I did, but I didn't. And Yeah, so I thought about myself and how I was going through these highs and lows. And I thought about how everybody goes through highs and lows in
Mm.
life. It doesn't matter your age, demographic, income level, like we all have them. And so I was like, and then I was always very entrepreneurial as a kid, coming up with ideas. I have a notebook of ideas from when I was like a little kid.
Really?
Yeah, some are good, some are not
I
so
was
good.
gonna ask you, do you plan on doing anything with those ideas?
I think I've learned a lot in
Okay.
over the last couple of years, but no, I so it got me thinking, okay, well, if I'm going through highs and lows, what are the highs and lows points on Earth?
Mm.
Mount Everest and the Dead Sea. And I thought about, okay, well, how could I take elements from those two places
Mm.
and incorporate them in a product that people could wear every day as that reminder to stay balanced in life, staying humble when you're on top of the world and hopeful when you've hit a low. And I kind of came up with the idea for Lokai all at once.
Would you
Um,
call that a I know some people use the word download. Would you call that an aha moment, download, eureka, or was that, oh, that's just a strategic idea? How do you define that?
I kind of just like, yeah, it just all kind of came to me at once. Everest, Dead Sea, the design of the bracelet, the black and the white,
Wow.
like all at once. I did it in like 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Uh, yeah, it was kind of just like it just came to be. And I think that one of the most famous quotes that I always say is, I told my dad the idea, and he said, "That's a great idea, but everyone has great ideas. Now go execute it. That's the hard part." And
What a
so,
gift of wisdom that was. If
yeah,
he didn't say that, do you venture to guess what you would have done with that idea? Would you have done anything?
I I might still have done it.
Wow.
Because I came up with an idea and had a company in high school, so I would consider myself a doer. But that definitely encouraged me, and
Hmm.
I just started Googling how do you find a factory in China, right? Like literally, I just started from there. Um,
Okay, this is a note to anyone listening who has an amazing purpose, mission, or idea in life. Clearly, you do not need to have all the answers and all the strategy worked out before you take your first action step.
and I think that's 100% true, especially today with Google, social media, being able to reach out to people. Like people are so willing to help and answer questions, and you can. I think you can pretty much figure out how to do anything these days. So if you have a vision and dream, and you just make excuses why you can't do it, um, is it that you can't really do it, or you just don't want to do it? But yeah, so I worked on Lokai for 3 years in college, and then I launched the company in June of 2013 when I graduated. And
So, in that time frame while you're in college, you're setting up warehouse, distribution center, how you're getting the goods to the warehouse, like that kind of stuff.
yeah, designing the card, making a website. So I think the first website was another college kid uh, that just
Amazing.
like yeah that knew how to make them. Like there was no Shopify back then,
Yeah.
uh, so like it wasn't as easy. It was just kind of getting all the pieces in place, and I launched the company. And since day one, giving back has always been a huge part of the brand and the company for me because of my grandfather and Alzheimer's. And I also just believe giving back is a huge part of finding balance in life.
I love
And
that. I want to pause for a minute and say, repeat that. Giving back is a huge part of finding balance in life. We know, I mean, this is true from a brain perspective. Charitable acts actually increase the feel good neurotransmitters in the brain, so it actually helps us balance. But your give back page on your Live Lokai website is like the dream list of organizations that I a either donate to or b want to donate to. Everything from WWF to Alzheimer's Fund to Make a Wish to all of these great things. And so I want you to dive more into this give back idea. What is it like? to be giving part of you, your profit, your hard work, your energy to these things? How do you find the organizations, and what do they mean to you?
Yeah. So, uh, life to date, Lokai has donated a little over $9.4 million to different nonprofit organizations.
Unbelievable.
And it's incredible to see the impact that those dollars have, and what they do for people's lives. A highlight for me, if I was to think about all the highlights of all the things that I've done at Lokai, one is going on a wish. And this was before I was on the board of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Um, I met a boy named Noah, who's now my friend. Like, we text, we talk. He's an amazing kid. And his wish was to meet Cam Newton. And we were able to make that happen. And the life-changing experience that had on him and his family that will ripple for the rest of their life, right? It truly is hope. And it made me realize just the impact that we're having as a company. And also, to your point about giving back and how it changes your brain, like, it gives you perspective too. And when you are going through lows or hard times, having that perspective of what other people are going through sometimes make what you think is a hard thing or low not be so hard anymore.
Would you call that like empathy, having the either lived experience or shared experience of witnessing somebody else in their low? Is that a thread of empathy that runs through?
Yeah, it's perspective. I think, like, I just have a new scale of what, like, hard things are for people outside of myself, right? We all kind of live on our own scale, but then you see other people's hard times and what they consider good times. And yeah, it's very humbling, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so this wish that you went on changed Noah's life. It also changed your perspective and enabled you to actually scale your perspective. And so where do you go from there? You're giving back to all these organizations. What are you hoping that give back's going to do beyond you and beyond the transaction of I just gave to that organization? What are you hoping happens with the people wearing your bracelets and their relationship to giving back?
Yeah, so the mission of Lokai is to inspire balance. So inspire people, the wearers, to find their own balance of staying humble and hopeful in life. I think from a corporate standpoint, we want to really show, and I believe we were one of the early companies that was doing this, being a for-profit company that also was deeply connected to a mission and a give back. And giving back and making profit don't have to be separate. You can do them together. And I do feel like we were a great example for a lot of companies now whose products and mission have a give back aspect. And I think over time, companies that don't care about giving back, making the world a better place, will have a harder time succeeding, because people are more thoughtful about what they're buying, why they're buying it.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting so much more conscious and, around what we eat, where the food is sourced, what we wear, where the material was made, and all of these things. And I do feel like you and other companies that are for profit and have a give back component are changing consumerism. I don't want to use the term conscious capitalism because I think that's already like that's a trademarked term, but this idea of commerce with a heart and a balance and a larger perspective is the future. So okay, so you're giving back. You've got your people who buy bracelets who also become members, and you're inspiring them to give back. So what's the ripple effect that you want to see? Like the tangible ripple effect that you want to see?
Um, Something I love is just how people that wear Lokai spread the message, and take Lokais right off their wrist and give them to other people. And we just want to continue to build and cultivate a community of people who love Lokai for what we stand for, and want to be a part of this journey and spread the message of balance with us.
Well, I'm finding that I'm even doing that, like you did not tell me to do any of that, but it's funny. I don't wear a lot of jewelry and I rarely wear bracelets because I have these really tiny wrists, but the one that I got from you fits perfectly. And there's only maybe been a couple days that I haven't worn it, and I felt like, oh no, I forgot to put it on. And it's already become for me this tangible reminder. This is what I love about it. I think in a conversation earlier with you, I referenced it as like a modern mala. So for anyone who uses mala beads, which are to help remind you of the prayer component, the intentional component of life. I'm viewing this bracelet like that, where when I look down, it's not just an ornament. I look down, and if the black bead is in my field of vision, I'm completely sort of orienting to, wow, this is a reminder for hope no matter what's going on in this situation. And if the white bead is in my field of vision, I'm like, oh, Lisa, be humble. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about this. When things are really good, remember to be humble aspect. I think so many people, get the idea, oh, we should be hopeful when we're down. But it's so easy to be complacent when things are great. And I would love to know, what does it look like for you? How do you get your own reminders to stay humble when things are great? Is it your wife saying, Steve, come on, get real? Is it the world, doing something? Or is it you saying, I need to pause. I have a practice where I'm going into gratitude. Like, what does that look like for you?
It's something that I think has always come naturally to me. I think when you're an entrepreneur, you go through some extreme highs and lows in your journey, and you realize very quickly you're never at one high or low for too long. And so I think once you've been humbled a few times by things in your business that you thought were great that break down, or something happens, like you learn that you'll never stay at a high or a low for too long, and it's about how you treat people along the journey. And yeah, just constantly trying to live that balanced life.
What is the gift of being humble? It's a gift in itself, but what edge, what advantage does being humble give a person? You specifically, but a person in general.
When things go bad, I don't get as emotionally upset about it, because I know that there's going to be highs and lows. So I think being able to recognize, okay, this is not good, but then there'll be a better time ahead. You're kind of just like enjoying the journey more, even though you might be going through a really hard time.
I feel like when I think about being at the height of my game and being humbled, the gift for me is it does what you said. It scales the perspective, right? It reminds me that everything is temporary, and that could be real scary for some people, and that could shut people down. Or if you use that truth, that everything is temporary, as a fuel, and you realize when you're at the top of your game, that can go away in a heartbeat. That can be a fuel for being really, really present and really, really juicing life, instead of letting it just pass by unnoticed. And so for me, I actually like to be humbled. It's funny. I think of when when I was a kid and I was in dance class, I never, ever, ever wanted to be number one in the dance class. That's not even saying I could be, but let's just pretend I could be number one in the dance class. I didn't want to be because there was nothing to humble me if I was the best. I always shot for being number two or three so that I could have an inspiration ahead of me and I could be humbled and I would work harder. And so I I kind of see you doing that. I see that you've got this amazing company. You're reaching millions of people. You're selling, how many bracelets have you sold?
Like 12 or 13 million.
Okay. So you're reaching millions of people across the world with this message of hope. And you're also role modeling that staying humble keeps you thirsty, productive, moving forward, innovative. Because I know from our conversations, you're constantly looking at how do I want to reposition and orient and bring this message out more, bigger, deeper, stronger, whatever. So I feel like there's a gift that being humbled unlocks. And I feel like you are walking that and role modeling that.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
trying to.
Yeah, no, I see it. And that's why I wanted to talk to you because there was so much, not to get woo. I know a lot of people don't like when you talk about, the transmission, but there was a transmission when you were speaking about your business. There was a transmission of reverence you had for having a business that was meaningful to your purpose in life. There was a reverence for that. There was also a real, this spacious equanimity where it felt like you were open to any question or even any provocation, that you felt really open to just considering it and talking about it. And I don't meet a lot of CEOs like that. I meet a lot of really type A force driving CEOs, which is also a beautiful strength. But you seem to transmit the hope and the humble, which I think is why your bracelets work. It's everything seems aligned. What's your practice? Like, do you just wear the bracelet? Do you do something with it? Does it take on a practice for you, your bracelet?
I wear one every day.
Yeah.
So I wear the classic Lokai every day, but no, it's not the bracelet. Obviously, it's the reminder. For me, it's working out. Like my mind is different when I don't work out and when I do work out in the
In what
mornings.
ways? How is it different?
I'm energized. I am more patient. I'm more present. When I start my day working out, I've checked the hardest box of the day, and I know I've gotten that done. When I work out before the sun comes up, I have that competitive edge that I'm beating everyone. The early bird gets the worm. So and that makes me a better leader, a better father, a better husband. So I wouldn't say that the bracelet, I have a practice with the bracelet as much as it is constantly there for me. And hey, even running Lokai, there's been incredible highs and incredible lows. And sometimes I got to remind myself what I'm preaching because I'm going through those highs and lows.
I'm going to tell you my practice with the bracelet because I have one.
I
It's an
love it.
actual practice with the bracelet. So what I do is I start kind of like mala bead style. I start with my finger on the low bead and I start there, and each bead in between the low and the high, I do a little gratitude for something in the moment in my day. And each of those gratitudes gets me one step closer to the high. And then when I get to the white bead, I just take a moment, I do a little meditation, I kind of, soak in the peak of the gratitude. And then what I do is I go through the remaining beads back towards the low and make it okay for me to have feelings or experiences throughout the day that might not be perfect. So I'll go through the it's okay story, like it's okay, I might be a little annoyed later, or it's okay if this meeting doesn't go perfectly well. I bring in the reality of it's okay, and then I get to the low bead and I realize that getting to the low bead is one step closer to getting back to the top because it's a circle. And so for me, that's my practice with the bracelet,
I love that.
is to bring in the high and the low. I feel like so many times in the self-help world, it's like stay positive, and yes, stay positive. But if we don't recognize that there is that transition space between high and low, that's not always positive, and that's totally part of life. And so I kind of use this as a reminder. And I love the little practice that I have associated with the bracelet, because now every time I look at it, it's more and more and more of a portal to my experiences of the practice. So that's what I've been doing with my bracelet.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So how is your family playing into your capacity to be a very, very busy entrepreneur, doing a radical business from the heart that is changing people's perspectives all around the world? What's the family's role in that equation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was like everyone else as a uh early entrepreneur. I won't say young because I think entrepreneurs can be all different ages. But in the first couple of years, I grinded hard. Like I slept in the office some nights. Now I have a great team that is able to support me, and I really live by my calendar, and I block out those times where I'm with my family, um, from 7 to 8 a.m. and from 5 to 7 p.m. Those are like family time, and by filling those buckets and making sure that I'm putting family first, it allows me to really spend the rest of my time working and thinking about work. And yeah, listen, having kids, I have a 3.5-year-old and 2-year-old.
Oh my God.
It takes up time, and I think what it's really made me do even more is be critical about saying no to things, and really only spending my time on needle moving initiatives. What are the things, and I try to do it, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, write down the things that I can do that is going to have the biggest impact on the success of the company. Do that from the top of the list to the bottom, and whatever I don't get to, I just don't get to, but it's okay because the other things I did were more important. And also just realizing that you will never finish emails, right? You'll never finish, like it is never ending. And I try to live in a balanced way because I want to be able to do this for the next 50 years.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
that's
right.
so nice to hear. You're not like, where's my exit strategy? I'm going to retire at X amount. No, you're like, no, I'm going to do this for the next 50 years.
Whether I do or not,
Yeah.
we'll see. But I've built my life, my calendar in a way that I could do it for 50 years if that's what I chose. I'm not working till 3 a.m, waking up at 6, like, and then we'll burn out in a month or a year.
Wow.
Which I think you see a lot with people whose intentions of maybe what they're trying to do, be to, hey, I'm starting this company to sell the company.
Right. I know a lot of my colleagues doing that. Okay, so I want to ask a question about the give back thing. Again, you're at 9.5 million, right? How much do you want to give back? Do you have a sense of, wow, I know that over the next 5 years, 10 years, I want that number to look like this?
Um, a crazy aspirational goal
Yeah.
would be I would love to give $1 billion to
Yes.
charity. Uh, I think there's a lot of steps before I get there, but we would be at 1% of the way there.
What an amazing business driver to make your charity give back one of the core drivers of your business. I love that. But I do want to go back to kind of want to round out this conversation by going back to the topic of your grandfather, because I feel like there's a legacy here. So he was diagnosed, and then you don't have to share any of what's uncomfortable, but I am curious what his journey with Alzheimer's looked like. How did the journey impact you? Not just the diagnosis, but the journey through it.
Yeah, I mean it was tough. Like I said, I was still younger. I don't think it like truly hit me until he passed. He was the first person I was very close to ever pass away. And like the end, the finite, he's no longer with us was very hard for me.
Did he
I
remember people up until his passing, or had
no.
he had already forgotten who people were?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a terrible
Yeah.
disease. I think from his diagnosis to passing is probably 4 or so years.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't know or understand anything at the end, and quality
Right.
of life is just really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But something very special in the picture, I believe it's on our site. Um, from the time I came up with the idea of Lokai, which was when he was diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
to before he passed, I did have samples. And so there's a picture of him and me wearing the Lokai bracelet.
Oh my God, I just got chills. Okay, so I want to ask you, what do you think your grandfather, with all of his faculties together, would say to you right now about what you're doing?
That is proud that I'm helping other people.
Wow. What
Yeah.
an amazing legacy. You know, it's interesting because Alzheimer's takes your legacy away, but you put it back. You put it back in the world in a different way, a way he couldn't, but you actually created his legacy at a time where his legacy was dissolving. That is that is powerful. Wow. So beautiful. Okay, so what do you want people to do right now? Do you want them to go to your website, get a bracelet? Do you want them to spread the message? What do you want them to do?
Be humble and hopeful. And if that includes wearing a Lokai, amazing. Um, they can check it out at lokai.com, Lokai. Also, if you're just an Amazon junkie, we're on Amazon.
Yeah, we'll put the link to your site. Um, I love that message. What do you want people to do? You want them to be humble and hopeful. What a beautiful, beautiful message. I want to be humble and hopeful. So that's going to be, a little mantra for me also as I use my bracelet and in my practice. Is there anything you're super excited about that's upcoming that you just want to share with the world right now? Business,
Yeah,
personal, or otherwise?
no, I would say two things keeping on the Lokai side. One is we have a membership program, which is really cool that gives our customer a new exclusive Lokai every month. And what we found a lot of people do is give every month, oh, I already have a few, like I'll give this to someone else who needs to stay hopeful. But on top of that, in the new program that's launching in January, people will be able to pick what cause they want their membership to go back to. So we get hundreds and thousands of requests of all these different causes that people have been affected by that they want to stay hopeful with. And unfortunately, we can't make a new Lokai for every single one. But this will give everyone an opportunity to really pick the cause that means something to them. Yeah, and then on the personal side, just I'm enjoying the two boys. They're exhausting at times, but watching them get old, and it happens quick, is so fun. And I work from home. Luckily, I have a little room that I'm in, but no lock on the door, so they bust in all the time.
That's the best. You know, my heart's very very tender around this because my daughter just went to college, and now I'm like this fiend when I see like a toddler or a little baby out in the world. I've never done this, but now I'm like, and I'm like, start walking towards these children or the baby, like I want to hold your baby, and it's like, whoa, what is happening? And I think, you know, it's cliche, but it happens so fast that you look back and you realize the last time was the last time for this, and I didn't even know it. So much like your grandfather's diagnosis, right? When was the last moment he recognized this person or that person? You don't know till after it's been the last time, and that happens with your kids, right? The last time you're going to be able to carry them up the stairs because now they're too big. You don't know it was the last time until the time you can't. And so there's all this beauty in having your kids bust in the door while you're in the middle of a meeting at work. And
Yeah.
I love that you appreciate that right now. Yeah. Wow. Steven, thank you for everything. Really, thank you for everything. For the bracelet, for the hope and humble packaged mantra that I now have, and for the practice. And I want to just say the 5 things that I took from this. And I want our listeners to take these 5 things and whatever other pieces of inspiration they had. But the first takeaway is to take action, no matter what your idea is or how much you think you know or don't know. Just take some action. The second takeaway I had was to give back, and that giving back is actually hope in action. Those were your words. The third takeaway was to treat people well. The fourth takeaway was to have a practice, and you mentioned working out, and my practice is neurosculpting and meditation and mindset work. And then the fifth takeaway I took was to prioritize time, and I think these are 5 pillars that would improve anybody's life. And so I really honor that you kind of laid those all out for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, we'll do this again, I hope.
Absolutely. I think we got a bunch of things brewing in the pipeline.
Yes, we do. Oh, it was so great to talk to you, Steven.
You as well.
Thanks for listening to Unlock Hope. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at Neurosculpting Institute on Facebook, at Neurosculpting on Instagram. You can always reach out to us on our website, neurosculpting.com, and you can download our app, Neuropraxis. Stay well, everybody.